The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from Metal Cloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. And, of course, Rockstar Jeep Girl Jessy. How you doing?
Hey.
So you guys have been kind of running ragged for the last couple of days, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been exciting. It's been good, but there's so much going on. It's just been a crazy couple days. It turns out we go to Cheyenne once a month just to, hang out because the weather's so nice.
Yeah.
How long of a drive is that for you?
About 7.5, 8 hours from here. Yeah.
Nothing.
Right?
It's
That's like 3 days commute here. I got to point out here, because if anybody's watching the video, I feel like I've got an angel above me because somehow the
You're in the
video is
light.
like
You're in
it's catching the
halo.
light from the light above, and I've got this glow
Halo.
coming down on me. I feel very blessed today. Thank you very much.
Oh.
There we go. Sound effects too. But you're back. So are you like back for a couple of days, or what's next?
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason for our folks that have been paying attention, we had to make a couple trips up there having to do with the CTI trailer and the LJ. As some folks know, we had the we had the CTI trailer Linexed it's been almost 2 years, year and a half ago or so. And the prep maybe wasn't all that it should have been. So Linex has agreed to redo the trailer. And at the same time, I thought, well, I'd like to have the inside of the LJ done. Well, and because of everything else going on, colors have been an issue. And so we've had to make a couple trips up there for them to get the colors right. Everything is in place now. They can actually shoot it. It'll get taken care of. But I mean, we just got done with a huge event in Utah, the winter 4x4 jamboree that we talked about last podcast. There's just a lot going on, and we're still kind of playing catch up a little bit. So,
well, it's understood. I mean, you got that going on. Plus, you're planning and doing most of the planning, or excuse me, all of the planning for the Modern Jeeper Adventures coming up, which Death Valley, I understand, has a couple spots available. Right.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this and you've ever wanted to go see an amazing place, don't worry about the fact that it's called Death Valley, because there's amazing life in this place. Right. If you ever go, well, I don't want to go wheeling some places all Death Valley and stuff. Oh, a bunch of dead people. It's not a bunch of dead people. Okay.
Not a bunch of dead people.
Not a bunch of dead people. It is a bunch of dead history, which is amazing because it's history you're not going to find anyplace else unless you go and do it. And between the color commentary and it's unlike any other event you've gone to, because throughout it you're getting a history lesson. You're driving along and you have this voice in the back of your head here. Between Dell and Corey, they're going to be telling you stories about this place and stories. I mean, it is an amazing trip. So even these little long segments that we're doing on the road between sections of off-roading are filled with colorful history. So there's absolutely it's an amazing. So if you have even thought about wanting to see what that part of America is like, this is a chance. I wish I could do it again this year.
And you get to hang out with us. So
yeah, I mean, and I think we've mentioned it before. Literally, this trip last year changed my perspective on wheeling. Guys, it forced me to come back, and I'm kind of that history junkie. I want to know everything about everything I do. And with Dell's help and some books and some information, there's just so much out there that it's crazy. And our adventure this year won't be the same as it was last year or the year before. And next year probably won't be the same as this year. The park is so large. There's just so much to do and so much to see. So we'll absolutely hit the highlights and the places that people have seen and heard information about. Yet, every day is a new day, and you just never know where you're going to wake up in the morning.
That's cool. And that's what's cool. And I know you can put it together a little guidebook for everybody, but the cool thing about the guidebook is it's going to be a collector's item.
Yes.
I think Corey will even sign it for you, but it could be completely moot because it could be that nothing in the guidebook actually followed because you guys play it by ear.
It is very much up in the air, and we'll throw some maps and whatnot in there and kind of give you a general idea of what our initial plan may be, but that could change daily.
Yeah, absolutely. It is such a cool trip, and I'm hoping that we can get some more people to be a part of it because we worked really hard to get the permit to expand the number. I mean, honestly, it's totally cool going out there 5-6 Jeeps, but if we can do more and get more people to enjoy it, that's just awesome. So a lot of great friends. I understand our good buddy Philip's going to be out there.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
For both the time.
Yeah. Philip contacted us this morning, wants to join us for both trips.
That's awesome.
We may even get a visit from our friend all the way down in Florida. Ricky called me this morning and said, maybe I'll come out.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting. That's totally cool, man. I'd love to see him out there. Well, now I'm going, well, shoot, if Ricky comes, I need to come out because that's, I just can't have him out there by himself with you guys. That's just
right.
We've had quite a bit of questions on it. So we still have some people him-hawing about coming. So yeah.
Well, Ricky in the desert. So I just hit the microphone. Is Ricky going to be out there with his wife, or what is it just going to be?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his plan will be. I know he'll probably bring the Gladiator, and he's helping us with our Georgia tentative event. Guys, I do have to throw this out there. We've spent the past 2 days driving, but of course, what's cool about technology is that we can sit in the truck and be part of Zoom meetings and things like that. Well, the Moab and Monticello BLM offices have put on it's kind of their customer service week this week. And I got an email a couple weeks ago, signed up for these couple of Zoom meetings, and they've been absolutely over the top informative, working with the Moab field office and the Monticello field office, who handles all of the BLM permitting, all of those. There's 1.8 million acres in that area.
Wow.
That 7 rangers manage.
Wow.
So I gotta shout out, and Jesse and I this morning, they were showing us some pictures from last year. Visitors to these places have increased, of course, especially because of COVID and whatnot. Typical visitation 5 years ago was about 1.5 million people.
Yeah.
Last year they had 3 million people.
Wow.
And
double.
I don't know how else to say this, but guys, I wrote it down, and I'm going to just call it off-road maturity. I don't think that we have much off-road maturity anymore. And I say that because they showed us pictures of the way that people have left some of these places in these national parks and in the Moab area. Guys, people are going out and just dumping their trash. There's human waste. They're wrecking the bathrooms. They're wrecking all of these things, and they're not taking care of it. And these are our BLM lands. I'm blown away by it. And I reached out to Uncle Dell this morning, and we had a little bit of a conversation as well. And I feel bad because the reason I call it off-road maturity is that I think that even through the last 20 years of my wheeling days, I never really got involved. I never really, the land use thing was always handled by somebody else. We'll go out there and we'll do these events and we'll have a good time, but we don't necessarily spend the time to take care of and respect the grounds that we're wheeling on.
And teach
the new generation of what they should be doing. It's craziness. It's not okay. These lands are going to get taken away from us. It's already happening, and we can talk more about that. But I don't know. My brain's been going 100 miles an hour all day long, trying to go. What have we done we all want to use these places. We all want to go wheel these trails in and around Moab and everywhere else in the West. Yet, when's the last time we organize? I don't see any pictures online of people maintaining the trails or picking up trash. What we want to see are the carnage, right? We want to see the guy rolling over so we can go, wow, that's really cool. And that's what we take pictures of, and that's what we share. I think we need to change. I think we need to grow up a little bit and go, hey, this is important stuff. And Metal Cloak has always been a huge proponent for land use. I've known Dell for a long time, and I just kind of went, yeah, those old guys will take care of us. They'll keep going to those meetings that are boring, and whatever it is they do, cool, they'll take care of it. That's not okay anymore.
No, we need to step up, and we need to volunteer to help the BLM to clean it up, because when we went out to Moab, it hurt seeing the trails the way they did. And I didn't take pictures. I didn't want to go show everybody what everybody else is doing, because it can hurt you and it can help you both in the same aspect. But it was very disheartening. And now that we're seeing things on the backside of everything else that's going on right now, that's part of it. It's deep down. It is part of why last year was so bombarded with people on the trails, too many people out and not respecting the land. And now we're coming to, well, we don't want you out here.
The pictures of pit toilets, people going in and just wrecking the inside of these bathrooms that are set up for us. They've dumped all their trash inside them. They've busted the locks off the doors. And then our tax dollars, we employ people through the BLM's offices for them to go out there and clean up our waste. And then we go, how come they're going to close this trail? How come that's not going to be able to take place? It's bad. It is bad.
Well, and what you just said there is the key component, is when they come out, and they will, because we all have to remember, the environmentalists haven't gone away. Those that want to close down these trails, those that want to turn something like Moab into a wilderness area where no vehicles are allowed. I'm sorry. And even if it's a wilderness area, remember, that's no mountain bikes, no UTVs. It's just walking. That's what you get for a wilderness area, right? And that's no vehicles whatsoever. Close it out completely, so that basically the only chance you get to go out to enjoy it is go for a multi-day hike and be able to go out and see a backpacking trip. And that's fine for people that want to do that. But if you want to go Jeep Moab, if it's on your dream list, you need to get involved. You need to get out there and make it known, because it's absolutely disgusting to see that, because the environmentalists will take those photos and they'll go, see, our natural lands are being destroyed. And quite frankly, they're right. I'm sorry, they're right. We are destroying it if that's what we're doing. The same thing happened out here in the Rubicon Trail. And Dell, by the way, I do want to say, Corey, you said those old guys. Well, we are the old guys now. Okay.
No, we're not.
Okay. We're the old guys. I didn't say old girls. I said old guys. We're the old guys.
I'm up there.
Young girls, old guys. That's how it always works. Right. But yeah, I mean, we are that generation now that has to be stepping up. Dell and his generation, they stepped up when they needed to. They saved the Rubicon Trail, because the Rubicon Trail was going to be closed for the same reason: environmental concern, destruction. We had arguments and debates about things like the white flowers, guys going up and hanging out at Little Sluice and just leaving all their trash out there, to the point that we actually had to have people every weekend. Somebody hung out, somebody camped at Little Sluice just to make sure. And it became the habit. So somebody was camping at Little Sluice every weekend to make sure that people weren't leaving trash, just so we can keep the trail open.
Well, so even at KOH, I saw today, Tread Lightly's out there as well. And everybody comes out there and plays on Chocolate Thunder, crawling over each other in the middle of the night, back door. We all know what happens out there. They've made posts that are asking people that are there to come out there and help them clean up the trash every night that's left. If it weren't for those people volunteering every night to clean up after those people, I'm sure the BLM would
And
Not
that's a
like that
shame.
either.
I mean, it really
It
is a
is.
shame that people are out there and they're doing that. Now, yeah, you get drunk, you do something stupid, that's fine, but you're always there with multiple people and somebody needs to be responsible, right? You
Right.
need to understand you're going out and this is not your trash can. This is not your backyard. This is not your, just a party land, dumping ground. Somebody always has to clean up the house in the morning.
Yeah.
And you in this case, you're going, oh, I'll just leave it for somebody else to do. That's just not okay
Mhm.
because that is the fodder they use against us when they say,
Absolutely.
you
It was
jeepers out there just destroy the land.
Mm.
today when the folks from the BLM were on the Zoom conference and we weren't on camera, but we could see them. Just to know who these people were that are in charge of the certain divisions of the BLM parks offices, those kinds of things. Who handles lands and realty? Who handles the permits? Who There are so many different divisions, and the BLM does so many things. Until you put a face with the name and kind of go, wait a minute, there's actually real people there
And they
that
care.
clean up after us, and we're not doing a good job of policing each other at all. And talking to Uncle Dell a little bit this morning, and it's kind of hard because who wants to go say, hey man, you're gonna pick that up, because that's gonna cause a fight, because it's probably the timing and the situation is never gonna be correct. It's not trying to be mean to somebody, it's kind of just helping them be stewards of the land. And the bad part about it is what it's gonna take is more police presence and grant money to pay these folks to monitor each other, all of us,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
not right.
And on the flip side of that, I mean, if I was Dave and, you're bringing 50,000 people out to, or whatever, I don't know what's out there this year. I have not seen any numbers as to how many people are actually coming out there, but historically 50,000 people out to the desert. One thing that they have, they focused on is safety, right? Educating people
Right.
about safety, but maybe there needs to be some education about, what we expect of you, because you have to clean up after yourself. You can't leave this place. And I can't even imagine what it looks like after everybody leaves because they're out there for a couple of weeks of cleanup, not
Right.
only from the pits, not only from, getting out stuff that's been burned. I mean, first off, they go out there for a couple of weeks to clean up ahead of time because they have to clean up
Mhm.
the nails from people burning pallets and all that stuff. And then they get all set up. It's got to be an absolute mess when people leave afterwards. And it's sad that you're dealing with that level of immaturity, as you said. Well,
Yeah, one of the stories from a gal from the BLM, she said, most recently at a campsite, they a giant box was left out there, and she said she started off. She said, "Well, I've never played air hockey before," and we kind of went, Where's this going?" She said, "Well, apparently that's a thing now, is to assemble your air hockey table out at your campsite and play air hockey, and then leave the
The trash.
box and all the trash out there." She said, "These are giant boxes," and I'm thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me? Like,
wow,
come on, guys! Like, really
that's
crazy,
that's almost funny.
right?"
God. Yeah, it's sad to say, but this is a generational thing because every generation that comes in, every new person that learns how to use a Jeep, whether we can't assume that everybody who's becoming a Jeeper understands. One of the things we try to do with our skills days, and which we haven't had since 2019, was part of that was land use and land respect, what we expect of you out on the trail. And if every club out there, and God bless the clubs who are busy trying to maintain trails and who have taken on trails as their focus, right? To be able to have that as their responsibility to keep that trail open or multiple trails. But God bless them doing that. But if everybody out there would just work on educating new Jeepers, and heck, even if the dealerships, I know it's not in their interest, it's not in their financial interest, but imagine if dealerships said, fantastic, by the way, you should have this tread lightly brochure. This,
Absolutely.
if you're going to take your Jeep
It's
off, here's how to be a Jeeper.
Well, and
Mhm.
because of COVID this last year, now you've got this whole other plethora of people that have really they maybe have never experienced being outdoors. I don't know, but they've gone to a dealership, or they went to the newspaper and said, "Hey, this guy's got a used Jeep or a used side by side or a camper, and we're going to go out and we're going to use it." And there's no education there. There's no training. There's no, well, there's a trash can there. I know it's overflowing, but obviously somebody will come out and empty that trash can. So
Right.
we'll just put our bag next to it.
Right.
I know. How about you take all that trash home with you and put it in your own? I mean, it's things like that. And,
Yeah. Well, we always
know,
say, take more out than you bring in. Right?
Absolutely. Leave it in better condition.
And they've
But on
been
the flip side-
invaded so much last year that they're still cleaning up from last year.
They're still cleaning up.
Fixing and cleaning up from last year.
So now, was there indication? Obviously, we're talking about Jeepers, and we're hitting on Jeepers, and we're hitting our own community. But obviously, it's not just those 3 million people were backpackers. Those 3 million people were mountain bikers. Those 3 million people were Jeep renters.
Yes.
And we know for a fact that many of the Jeep rental companies out there in Moab, like our buddy Jeremy at Outlaw and Nina and her crew, are very good at teaching people like, hey, don't leave trash. But are people good at listening? And that's the hard part.
Right.
I'm out here. I'm on vacation. We're going to go ride on Jeep's ground. We're going to play around this thing. We're going to do little stuff. And I'm going to leave some stuff out there on the train. It's just, that's okay. It's Mother Nature. Mother Nature take care of it. Mother Nature take care of it. That can, squirrels will take care of the cans, right? Because they need to build a nest, right? It is sad. And we do need to mature. And I'm very glad you brought that up because
and it was an eye opener for me, and having worked through the National Park Service and get our own permits approved for Death Valley, and then now dealing with the BLM side of things, which is the BLM and the National Park Service are two different entities. They both are managing federal lands, but one is kind of a subset of the other, right? So the folks at the BLM, Nina and Jeremy and Twisted and all those Jeep rental places, I get it a little better now. The reason that they have those talks and go, hey, there's a set of rules here, and you guys need to be responsible and understand that. We all sign the waivers, right? We've seen it. Yeah, whatever this says, this big long thing. How many times a day do we do that with new agreements, technology wise? Oh, well, if I don't run this software that I need for my phone, like, what are you gonna say? No, I decline. Oh, okay, well then you don't get to use your phone. Right. Well, so we read that stuff, we sign off on it, but we don't pay attention to it. And maybe it's time for us now to all pay attention. That kind of brings us to the elephant in the room, which social media today was having a complete stroke. Easter Jeep Safari has been canceled. Well,
has it?
Or has it?
Has it? Well, I got the email from our buddy Pete Kaufman yesterday, and I forwarded that to you, and he just sent it. Hey, thanks, because of this and this and this, it's been canceled, and like, oh, great. And of course, you're going to get an official notice. And then I'm sure it just went by wildfire throughout. There was stuff that got posted. I saw stuff being sent to me, and from all kinds of places, like canceled, and what the problem is, what the real problem is. And of course, you've been monitoring it and checking with people. So, what do we know, Corey? What do we know?
Well, so this morning, and we started off. I mean, we hit the ground running. We were up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I mentioned it to Jessy. I had seen it come across from your email. And then she'd kind of been monitoring and interacting social media all day long while I was driving, and even through our BLM Zoom meeting. And we've talked with a lot of people who are.
Were you doing your BLM Zoom meeting while you were driving?
I was.
Yeah, nice.
We were listening.
Nice.
Yes, I was.
I was taking notes, listening, and I was doing probably 3 things at once. Yeah.
The word of the year here at Medical is multitasking. I'd like to use that as an example.
Yes, definitely a whole bunch of that going on. And again, my brain is like on 15 different, wait, what did you just say? Because I'm thinking about something else. And yeah, it's been a day. But we've had some good information from, it started out as everybody was so against the all the county commissioners and the city council and this ordinance regarding the UTVs, and it's
The Rally
you
in the
know the Rally in the Rocks
and
got canceled, and so now it's the Jeepers, and
they're after us. Here it comes, and then bam, here we go.
yeah, and in a nutshell, to after all is said and done, there's a whole lot of questions being asked now by everybody, not only the city council, because there was never a denial of a permit. Now, what we've kind of determined has happened is they amended the permit based on the new COVID regulations and things like that. It it kind of played into the ordinance thing with the UTVs, but not really. This was Red Rock's opportunity to have to abide by a certain different set of regulations according to this new permit. And bless their hearts, Red Rock also is one of those huge Jeep clubs that how I'm so I don't know this. This is my own internal. If I was 60 years old and I'd been on this in this Jeep club and worked my butt off for 20 years trying to keep things going, and now there's more work involved to make this happen, yeah, I don't know if I'd be interested. So
Especially since
when
many of the trails out there, the guys from Red Rock are the ones that built the trails. They
absolutely,
created that
yes,
environment. They
yes,
created
and so you start throwing some of these different guidelines in there where the city is kind of going, okay, we can't really have 250 people in any one spot, and if you start to take a look at all of the new rules and everything, maybe you just go, yeah,
And it
peace out.
comes to the bottom dollar. How
Right.
are you going to do it? It's not like
Right.
they make a killing. They get money raised by the vendor show to help support Moab and the trails and keep them open for us.
Right.
So, I mean, insurance, liability, all the other new things on top of we don't want UTVs because of the noise, and now it's, well, we can't have the big rock buggies parading around town making
Again,
noise.
this comes back down to us policing ourselves and being better stewards of the land and respecting these people that live in these towns. How often are we down in downtown Moab and we hear the guys ripping up and down the main drag? It
It's
happens a lot.
25
Right.
miles an hour.
Yeah, and if I had to live there, I'd be like, you know what? This sucks. I wouldn't want it to go away, and either do the people in the town. Easter Jeep Safari has not officially been canceled. They've not canceled anything officially. That said, they're looking at all their options. They're trying to figure out, how could they do this? How can they have an event and not have any real groups of people? Now, the questions all day long have been, we have King of the Hammers going on and there's 30,000 people on a lakebed. And well, let's talk a little bit about that, because we've heard a lot of different numbers about how much money is actually involved in that as well. When we hear Dave putting up upwards of 750,000 to a quarter, or to $1 million to enable just the COVID testing and all of that kind of stuff, these small Jeep clubs just do not have that kind of money. So again, it's all about perspective. We just finished Winter 4x4 Jamboree that was down in Sand Hollow with 800 rigs. But people are very, very spread out. Whereas, their vendor show was pretty limited. I mean, there was never 40, 50 people in there. People go to Easter Jeep Safari because that giveaway is ginormous. And what happens, though, is interesting social media wise today was everybody was losing their mind and very upset at them not having the event. My question to everybody that's upset is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go to Moab? Are you going to support them, help them? Are you going to go volunteer and make sure that these things do happen in the future? Because they all need your help.
Mhm.
I can't imagine 4 or 5 guys at Red Rock going, how are we going to pull this thing off? This is a huge event. We all look forward to it. I get it. I've been doing that event for 20 years now, been out there, and it has changed. It's no longer about just us Jeepers. It's about, look at me, look how big I am. I'm got 54s and I'm running through town and I've got 5 side-by-sides with me and we're all going wheeling.
And ripping through the land.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well,
Sorry, that
I
was
think that
long.
all comes down to that same thing. We got two things happening in Moab. One, the population of Moab has exploded, right? So you have a lot of new people going there, and many of them aren't necessarily going there because of once a year a bunch of Jeeps show up, right? Now there are many of who are. There are guys like Grandpa and others who have decided to establish themselves there, and they're all about the Jeeps. But a lot of people are buying homes out there. A lot of people are moving out there, mainly for the jobs and for the retirement, and they didn't. It's kind of like the guys, and I don't want this, and I'm not being negative, but it's kind of like the problems we had here in Sacramento years ago when people would buy a house near an airport and then complain about the plane flying over.
Exactly.
Well,
Yep.
when I was looking at the house, there weren't any planes flying over. I didn't even think about that. But then all of a sudden, there's planes flying over me. But Moab is known to us as a Jeep mecca. There are people that have no idea that Jeeps are big at Moab. They just go there because, my God, that's the greatest place to go mountain biking in the world.
Right.
Or guys like Pete Kaufman, who God bless him, he owns a Jeep, so he can go someplace as remote as possible and backpack for hours and hours and take photos. That's why he's there. And that's why people are showing up there. It's like going there for Memorial Weekend during the Modern Jeeper Adventure. Most of the
Right.
people there, the town is packed, the town is full, but most people there aren't for Jeeps. So
No.
the fact that once a year, all of a sudden you have this town just gets taken over, or in the case of the UTV group, which I will say, and again, it's new populations. That UTV population, they're a different group. They're fairly new. A lot of them are buying into this world where they get to go off-roading and do amazing stuff with a relatively inexpensive rig. And nobody's taken the time to educate them on what it means to be part of the UTV lifestyle, or what it means to be part of the Jeep lifestyle. What are the standards we try to live by? So we got both ends of this. Oh, I'm going to build a badass rig because I'm able to go put a bunch of money into something and now go out there and, oh, check me out because I'm going down. It's like going down the parade down the road.
Right.
Nope, nobody's going to and say, whoa, buddy. Hey, we have a standard. Welcome to the Jeeping world. Here's our standard, right? We respect people because there's a lot of you and I and many others who got into Jeeping and loved it because of the respect we had for each other and the respect we had for the rules, the respect we had for our communities. And so we have to recognize that, and this is what I come back to evolution. Every day somebody new is becoming a Jeeper. Every day somebody new is becoming a UTVer. Every day somebody new is probably moving to Moab who just thought they're going to have a nice, relaxing retirement. All those people somehow have to be communicated with.
That's right.
We have to, and so it's up to you and I as Jeepers, as part of the Modern Jeeper community, to take responsibility for the Jeepers and to try to help the Jeepers to set a greater example. Whatever that takes for us to do, that should be our mission. And then push. I know that the UTV group, I understood the UTV group filed lawsuit against the city or against and
Well, they have some, they've got some attorneys involved, but I mean, literally, they just moved south. They moved into San Juan County, and they'll have their event down there.
Right, and there's a lot of stuff happening in San Juan County because of that. I guess that's where the big developments are happening and stuff to be able to handle the people moving into Moab.
And again, instead of being a solution and saying, what have we done wrong to cause this? What can we do to correct it? It's
we'll just go somewhere
we'll
else.
go somewhere else. We're
Right.
not spending our money here. And you're talking about other people's lives too.
Right.
It's
And
not just about you.
I'm glad you made that point because that was clearly something that as a group and as an organization, they should have said, here's our plan. Hey guys, let's work together. We understand the problem. Okay, here's our plan. We're gonna make sure that everybody who attends it gets educated and is required to watch this video and required to do something. Years ago, I don't know if you remember Papa Bear McGrath. Papa Bear. So Papa Bear and I talked about this years ago about trying to do a skills day, like a 101 on Sunday before before Easter Jeep Safari. Like everybody who shows up, here's a 2-hour training and education about being a Jeeper, especially back when, you started having the 4-doors showing up, which became, for many identified, Papa Bear called that the most dangerous Jeep ever made, because now you have a family that it
Right.
could be rollover if you did it wrong. And
maybe that's what we need to get back to. We need to scale it back, slow things down a little bit, and go, you know what? So I know that a lot of people aren't familiar with the Moab area. They'd like to be, but the problem now is I've bought this Jeep. It's 40 grand, it's 50 grand, it's 100 grand, it's on 40s, but I've never wheeled. And so I'm not going to do those intro trails because I'm just going to be bored.
yeah, I'm just going to go to Bridget.
Yeah. And I think that's, I get it. I do understand, believe me, but none of the old school guys, we didn't get into the industry or the hobby, the sport like that. We evolved. We started slow. We had little Jeeps and we did little things, and there were just Jeep clubs, and there was no, we're going to go out and do some crazy epic stuff. There was crazy epic stuff going on Jeeps with 33s.
Right.
But it's just such a different thing now. And I struggle to not be that. I don't want to be the guy, the guy that poo-poos all of this new wave, yet there has to be some education. Otherwise, it's going to happen. We had a lot of people going, well, see, we'll just go to Sand Hollow. That is not the answer either. And there were people that were contacting us going, hey, I live in Sand Hollow. I don't want you all down here either because of these exact same things.
Right.
That is an area that has been free and has been open, but it's relatively new to all of us. I guarantee it. Mark my words. They will start limiting things if the same thing will happen down there. So
Absolutely.
The problems lie deeper than just going willing and everybody showing up.
yeah.
Right.
And nobody realizes it has led up to this point.
Right.
Instead of going, let's go wheeling after the fact, let's go clean up. Let's go repair. You don't see that happening enough.
Right.
And we need to make that change.
Yeah, and it's that, it's that other person's responsibility attitude, right?
Right.
It's not in my backyard, it's somebody else's responsibility. And it's a shame, but again, I just come back to education. And maybe the Red Rock four-wheelers, and they don't necessarily think about technology and solutions because they are guys that are, some cases, older than dirt. Love every one of them. Love every one of them. But if I was them, I would have, and this is something we should encourage and push for all the different events across the country, is make a little, 10-minute video. It doesn't take much to take a 10-minute video, just you sitting here like this, talking about, hey, welcome to Easter Jeep Safari, or welcome to Rally on the Rocks. I'd like to share with you a few simple rules. Here's what we do. Here's how we expect you to behave. If you can't do that, we really don't want you to come, because quite frankly, this is about an event, and we won't have this event ever again if you can't do that.
That's right.
And
I don't know, the West is definitely different than the East. And we've talked about that. We've talked about public lands versus private parks. And in the East, I get it. Like the private parks, very small areas, people are kind of, there's a lot of trash cans around. They throw their stuff in their trash can, but then they leave the park and they're gone.
But it's still the same.
It's still the same. Yet I think there's a different mentality when we get out West and we see that all this open space. And for some reason that changes people's perspectives.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so coming down to the elephant in the room, coming down to it, right now, nothing's official.
Nothing's official.
The UTV stuff was brought up because they have to be consistent, because by canceling Rally on the Rocks and having attorneys in the room, they felt the necessity to be consistent and therefore to put UTV restrictions on Easter Jeep Safari. What I have received no official notice as a company from Easter Jeep Safari. So all I've heard is scuttlebutt and communications from various ends. We did talk to our friend Jeremy at Outlaw Jeep Adventures, and he just basically reiterated that same stuff. One, I know that he's planning on doing some events. Like he's going to take some guided tours out there. He's going to do the whole thing. As long as he has 35 Jeeps or less, it falls within the rules. So there are rules and there are guidelines that have been put out there. The other challenge Moab has is a 200 person or less event restriction. But that's in one location at one time. That's not
right.
We're not restricting 200 people coming and registering and being in the city of Moab. That would just be dumb. So, so I know from our standpoint, and as long as we can, we're still planning on having the CTI trailer out there. I still plan on making Jesse and Corey work really hard for
and we want
at least
to.
a few days.
Want to be there. I mean, and other ways to think about it is scaling those things down. Some of the manufacturers or even us take the lead in going, we're going to have this many people sign up for our trail, and we still come out and enjoy it with our customers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a solution instead of, and then having a pickup day.
Right.
Yeah.
There are other ways around it.
Moab is not closed, and people were kind of like, well, I guess I'm going to cancel my reservations and I'm not going. You know what? Those are, again, this involves public lands. Easter Jeep Safari, the Red Rock four-wheelers did a really good job of putting together a group of people to have an event and a vendor show and to take all of our fellow Jeepers on trails. That hasn't really stopped. Now, the Red Rock four-wheelers cannot solicit and say, hey, come to town, no matter what happens. I'm telling all of our listeners that Moab is still open and the businesses still need your dollars, and they still need people to respect their businesses and respect their town. So we'll see what happens. They're reviewing all of their options.
Yeah.
Well,
how about we come out and join together and have a good time instead of what can you get from a vendor show?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and it's also truthful to be very, very honest about this. If you aren't coming out and you aren't spending your money, then they're going to look at it and going, well, maybe we don't really need them anyway.
Right.
So, the economic hold that we can have and the economic grounding that you put by spending that money makes you important.
Yes.
That's the same argument that was used to save King of the Hammers, by the way, when the big Johnson Valley fight was going on. Part of it was an economic study of how much money was brought into that region, that valley, that community, that county, during that period of time. And it was huge. So it makes a difference. People go back and go, oh, wow, okay, well, I'm not going to cancel that because people are going to hate me.
Money makes a difference?
Yeah, I think so.
That's weird. That sounds weird.
That's just dumb.
Speaking of King of the Hammers, there's been a bunch of people out there.
That was dumb, and the first thing you think of is King of the Hammers. Which, by the way, if you're watching the video back behind you, this is we got King of the Hammers going on back there, which is half the time Corey's talking, I'm just zoning out on the TV, like,
We watched the shootout last night on Jesse's phone in the hotel room. And,
wow, I did not watch it. How was it?
It was interesting.
It was interesting. They did kind of a side-by-side thing where there was two different courses. The rock bouncer shootout side over at Chocolate Thunder.
Okay.
Up kind of where it was last year.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
The bouncers went up the right side, and then Laser Nut, Cody Wagner, went out and created a rock course for the rock coronation.
The rock coronation.
If they made it through, they got to name it. Kind of similar like they do at Trail Hero. Nobody was naming that trail last night.
No.
Wow.
It was pretty gnarly.
It was gnarly. Again, this is like the first KOH I've missed in like 8 years. It was hard to just sit and watch it on the phone, but yet, you know what? It was a heck of a lot warmer.
It was definitely warmer, but everybody wants the excitement. They don't understand that. And they were given 15 minutes on the rock coronation. The moon buggies were the extreme rock crawling guys.
Right.
They were given 15 minutes to time out. And some people are all about the carnage. People don't know what it takes to have the patience to even maneuver around the crazy stuff. And that's what I tell him. I don't have the patience. I love watching it and I love doing it, but he and I both know I would never have the patience to do it because I would be like hammered down.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
was pretty interesting, the rocks that he chose. And
Wow.
yeah, it was.
On the bouncer side, the guy who took first, I can't remember his name.
Kaufman was his last name.
Yeah. 60 seconds
Wow.
was the fastest time.
Wow.
And they had
That's
a 12-year-old go up it too in a full-size giant bouncer.
12-year-old drove it in like 75 seconds.
Yeah, it was between that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That old rock bouncer world. You know, I got to go ride
It's
in a rock
crazy.
bouncer one of these days, but I don't want to do it out in Johnson Valley. I want to go ride out there in Tennessee, you know, go ride through the mud and play up the hills there.
Right.
So, well, a lot's happening at the KOH. Hopefully you guys are watching it online. There's great, they have multiple feeds. Like right now, what you're seeing on my screen is from YouTube. It's the same feed that's on their website, same feed that's on the multiple feed locations. And we talked before about, I asked a question last week if it was pay or not. For $35, it's $35 for the year. It's a one-time fee.
Year.
$35. You get to have access to this extreme live feed, which I think is like what is it? It is
$10.
It's $10 for the week.
ultra4racing1.vhx.tv. Now, what's interesting is you say that, but I saw a bunch of feedback coming back on YouTube
saying they didn't find it.
That they couldn't find this $10 thing, and somebody from Ultra4 Racing said, "Yeah, that's not official." So it's $35 for the year, but it's a lot of like it's dash cam stuff. I mean, it's a lot more of a premium coverage,
and you get Ian on there.
And you get to see our buddy Ian.
Oh,
Ian is the premium channel.
He's doing the premium. Yeah, Ian's a little premium, isn't he?
Well, and I just so our viewers know, we still get the media snippets from the folks out at KOH, and I've already got the Desert Challenge results, and I'll get those thrown up to modernjeeper.com here in the next day, and they're usually about a day behind as they write the stories and put the pictures together and stuff. So we'll make sure and we'll get that stuff out there. We've got a couple of friends out there. I know what it's like trying to get a hold of people. We've had Matson hit me up and said, "Hey, what about the Bronco out there? Can we get somebody on the Bronco?" And
I reached out to quite a few people, and they just don't have any specs on it, and the one that they have on display is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we've got people trying to get some pictures and take looks and stuff. There you go.
Yeah.
See?
So
that's the sport.
That's the sport. It's a sport, and then it comes in, and there's the
full size.
There's the one the fire truck that they had setting up.
The brush fire truck is pretty cool.
Which there's some interesting little things like these brackets that were sent over to me. Like, what's that bracket before and behind the tire? What's that for?
Well, good. I'm glad you got some pictures.
So we got some pictures. That was from our dentist friend Sean Roth. Who
nice.
Who I reached out to. I'm like, hey, if you happen to get this text message sometime, and then he went all out and took a bunch of photos. And there's another one of the sports out there.
I had a few people that were supposed to get it in the morning for me, but they had it all roped off and they couldn't get pictures for us. So, and they were out in the middle of the desert trying to do their media thing.
Well, if there's any of our followers that have an iPhone, remember when you're taking pictures out there, there's a little utility on your iPhone that'll actually show measurements, and you can actually take a picture and of dimensions of things. Just saying.
FYI. Yeah.
Just saying. So there's so Sean Roth goes, my only thought was I don't like the stock look. Really need to see it built. So that was on the Bronco itself, and then he also said for the sport. I'm not so impressed. Looks like an attempt to blend a Ford Explorer with a Land Rover and Jeep. So
there's a couple of sports that people own here in Montrose, and we've seen them in parking lots and stuff. And literally, to me, it looks you can tell that Ford owns Land Rover. It's very rounded. It's very small.
I call it the Bronco Kia.
Yeah, it's the Bronco Kia.
From a business standpoint, it's a Bronco Kia. Bronco Light.
Bronco Light.
iPad Mini, Bronco Mini.
There you go.
it's interesting because it was a smart business model to create something they could go to market with right away and build the Bronco name. So from that standpoint, kudos. For all full disclosure, yes, I own Ford stock. So from that standpoint, kudos. I think it was a smart business move to try to get that money rolling to pay for all the R&D and everything into the Bronco. I'm just looking forward to the Bronco actually hitting the market. The full
Well,
size.
It's interesting to me that so many people are, number one, what we see on social media is that, hey, I bought a Bronco, and then they show us a picture of a Sport, which no.
Right.
And
yeah.
then there's the other half who's like, it's so cool that Vaughn and Lauren and stuff are racing Broncos, and no, that's just a body. There's no Bronco there.
Well, we got
Now-
Jason Shearer, Lauren Healy, and Vaughn Gittin Jr.
Right.
have the new body panels on their Ultra 440 400 cars. And
Right.
they're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool.
They're
and
not Broncos.
They're not
Yeah,
Broncos.
they're not
But
Broncos.
although I did hear that, and I don't know this for a fact, I just read this, that there is GOAT suspension operating within those rigs. Is that the case?
I don't know that.
Not 100% sure.
I was gonna. I had heard some other things, but I don't want to say, and I'll get hate mail or something.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, but we'll see how they perform. Obviously, they're going to be doing the time trials and stuff, and they'll see how they perform. But what we do know is once KOH is over, we'll get our buddy Jason Shearer on here to come back and talk about it and talk what it was like driving that. And I did notice a little video intro. I love Jason a lot, but he was like one guy who was talking who seemed like he was reading lines off of there was a little intro video. It just seemed like he was reading some lines. And for a guy like him who talks as well as he does, that was kind of funny. Like
that is funny.
It was the corporate line. Well, it is getting dark in your world, and I can see that. Yeah. So for all those that are listening to us, Corey and Jesse are fading into darkness as it fades away. What time is it in Colorado right now?
It's 6.
Yep.
Yeah, 6 p.m. So
but the sun is just going down, which at least it's not 5 and going down. So
that's good. That's good. How many feet of snow do you have?
It's melting.
It was 50 degrees coming home today, and it's actually fairly nice outside. We're supposed to get a big storm tomorrow.
It's supposed to rain, and then probably Thursday is supposed to be.
And for those of you guys back east in New York, New Jersey, all that, like, I feel sorry for you because I saw the pictures of 2 feet of snow on your car this morning. So.
Yeah. Well, there's like 4 feet up on the mountains that just got dropped over the last couple of days.
That's good.
That is good up here. That is up here.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get my kids up there. They've never been in fresh powder, so I feel like a bad daddy.
There you go.
You just come here.
Let's come there. I will happily drop them off.
Okay.
There's no dropping off.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's another great episode. For all of you out there that want more information about Moab, pay attention to Red Rock Four-Wheelers. Like, they will announce something. They're the only ones on there going to tell you what's happening with Easter Jeep Safari. Nobody else, because it's their event. Right. And take a look at the official notice with the city of Moab and the city council, because all that stuff's published, and you can find that. We'll try to find that and give you some helpful links within the show notes. Otherwise, Death Valley, ModernJeeperAdventures.com. Go there. If you have any questions, reach out to Corey at MetalCloak.com or Jesse at MetalCloak.com or myself, Matts at MetalCloak.com, and we'd be happy to help you and plan out what you want to do and answer many questions. Getting lots of questions, as Jesse said. But
I'm going to be happy to have you.
Absolutely. Even more happy to have you.
Yes.
And for all of that, anything else you want to add, my friends?
No, I know this is a kind of a quick episode for us, but hopefully we get this information out to you, and you guys can keep following KOH and enjoy that. And we hope to see you in, we've got 4 weeks to Death Valley. So, well, yeah, a little bit less than that. So it's coming.
So we're cranking that out.
Apparently, 4 Wheel Parts is the official sponsor of our YouTube video, because there's an ad playing right behind me. Oh, great. So yes, all of our friends, by the way, hit your subscribe button, subscribe to this channel, please. Hit the like button on your favorite podcast player, share your reviews, share your comments. We will read them all. We appreciate everything you guys do. And as we're into, this is episode number 102. Like we're getting into that next thing. This is awesome. Like that's all I've got.
Cool.
Friends, Modern Jeepers, we'll see you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.